3 fruits to eat before bed for your eyes. After 60. Every night while you're asleep, your eyes are running one of the most demanding repair jobs in your entire body. Almost nobody realizes this happens. The retina, that thin layer of tissue lining the back of your eye, does its most critical maintenance work while you rest. And here's the detail that changes how you think about it. That repair process runs entirely on what you ate that day. If the right nutrients weren't there, the repair falls a little short, night after night, year after year. Until one morning, text on a page looks softer than it used to, or driving after dark suddenly feels harder than it should, and you write it off as just getting older. It isn't always just age. Today, I'm going to walk you through 3 specific fruits worth eating before bed if you're over 60, and explain why the timing itself matters, not just the food. One of them is going to surprise you. The science behind it is more recent than most people have come across. I'm Dr. James Walker, and this channel is built around practical, evidence-based health information for older adults. If you haven't subscribed, now's a good time. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Margaret. 68, retired school teacher, still did the crossword every morning without her readers. About 2 years ago, she started noticing that the print on restaurant menus seemed dimmer than she remembered, and driving home from her book club after sunset had started to feel like navigating through fog. Her ophthalmologist ran the standard tests and found the very early signs of age-related macular degeneration. Not advanced, not urgent, but present. When Margaret asked what she could have done differently, the answer surprised her. It wasn't about a supplement she'd missed or a screening she'd skipped. It was about what she'd been eating, and more specifically, when. Her evenings, like most people's, ended with whatever was convenient. A cookie, a glass of wine, sometimes nothing at all. Nobody had ever told her that her retina was waiting for something specific from her at that hour, and that she'd been sending it nothing, night after night, for years. Margaret's case is common enough that it's worth building the rest of this video around it. Nobody is telling you that diet alone prevents macular degeneration. Genetics and other factors matter too. But the evening window turns out to be one of the few pieces of this puzzle that's fully within your control, and almost nobody uses it. What's actually happening in your eyes overnight? Once you understand this part, the rest of the video falls into place. Pound for pound, the retina is the most metabolically active tissue in your entire body. All day long, exposure to light generates oxidative stress. Unstable molecules called free radicals build up faster than your body can neutralize them. At night, with your eyes closed and no incoming light, your body finally gets a window to catch up, repairing damaged cells, clearing out waste, regenerating what the day wore down. The main tools for that overnight repair are antioxidants, compounds that neutralize free radicals before they damage retinal cells. 2 of those antioxidants concentrate almost exclusively in the macula, the small central region of the retina responsible for your sharpest vision, lutein and zeaxanthin. Your body has no way to manufacture either one. They have to come entirely from food. The AREDS2 trial, a landmark study run by the National Eye Institute over roughly a decade, involving thousands of participants, found that targeted intake of lutein and zeaxanthin produced a meaningful reduction in the progression of macular degeneration. 10 years of data pointing to the same conclusion. What you eat directly shapes what happens inside your eye while you sleep. One more detail matters here. These compounds absorb more efficiently from whole foods than from a pill, and even better when paired with a small amount of healthy fat. That's the whole reason timing, eating them in the evening after dinner before bed, makes a real difference rather than being an arbitrary suggestion. It's worth pausing on just how narrow this window really is. Your body doesn't store lutein and zeaxanthin the way it stores fat-soluble reserves for months at a time. Concentrations in the bloodstream rise and fall within a day or 2 of intake. That means a big salad on Sunday doesn't cover you through the following weekend. The retina is essentially asking for a fresh, small supply on a rolling basis, which is exactly why consistency ends up mattering more than quantity. A modest amount every evening beats a large amount sporadically, and we'll come back to that point later, because it's one of the most common mistakes people make once they learn about all this. With that groundwork laid, let's get into the three fruits. Fruit 1, blueberries. A 2024 study in the Journal of Nutrition, drawing on data from Harvard's long-running women's health study, followed a large group of older adults over time and found that eating just one or more servings of blueberries per week was associated with a meaningfully lower risk of macular degeneration. The mechanism traces back to anthocyanins, the deep blue pigments that give blueberries their color. Inside the retina, anthocyanins do two things at once. First, they neutralize free radicals generated by daytime light exposure before those molecules get the chance to damage retinal cells. Second, they help maintain the structural integrity of the tiny blood vessels that feed the retina oxygen and nutrients. When those vessels weaken or break down, the retina starts to starve from the inside out. Anthocyanins help keep that vascular network intact. A small handful of blueberries in the evening, fresh or frozen, it doesn't matter, is one of the simplest, lowest effort things you can do for your eyes before bed. If fresh blueberries aren't in season where you live, frozen ones retain the anthocyanin content almost entirely intact, since freezing doesn't meaningfully degrade these particular compounds the way some cooking methods do. A quarter to half a cup is enough to matter. This isn't about eating a large bowl every night. It's about making the habit small enough that you'll actually keep it up for years, since that's the time frame the research is built on. Fruit 2, tart cherries. This one carries two separate benefits that almost nobody connects to eye health, and both work through the same evening window. The first is melatonin. Tart cherries are one of the richest natural food sources of melatonin available. Most people only know melatonin as the sleep hormone, but here's what rarely gets mentioned. Your retina has its own melatonin receptors. Melatonin produced overnight functions as a direct antioxidant inside the eye itself, not just as a sleep signal. Research shows retinal melatonin levels decline noticeably with age, which leaves aging eyes more exposed to overnight oxidative damage. Eating tart cherries in the evening helps top off that melatonin supply right when the retina is depending on it most. The second benefit comes from the same anthocyanin compounds found in blueberries, which reduce chronic inflammation in the retina's small blood vessels. That kind of low-grade, long-term inflammation is one of the quiet mechanisms through which macular degeneration progresses over years, often without any noticeable symptom along the way. A small serving of tart cherries, fresh, frozen, or unsweetened tart cherry juice diluted with water, consumed 30 to 60 minutes before bed, delivers both benefits on the schedule your eyes actually need them. One caution worth mentioning: tart cherry juice concentrates can be surprisingly high in natural sugar, even without anything added. So if you go the juice route, diluting it with water isn't optional. It's the difference between a genuinely protective habit and accidentally working against yourself. A quarter cup of tart cherries or a few tablespoons of juice, well diluted, is plenty. Fruit 3, kiwi. This is the one that catches people off guard. Most people think of kiwi purely as a vitamin C fruit, and that's true. Gram for gram, it contains more vitamin C than an orange. But the connection between kiwi and eye health runs deeper than that single fact. A clinical trial that had adults eat 2 kiwis an hour before bed each night found measurable improvements in sleep, falling asleep faster, sleeping more deeply, and spending more time in the most restorative stages of sleep. The mechanism is kiwi's unusually high concentration of serotonin precursors. Serotonin gets converted into melatonin as evening progresses, so supplying the raw material through food supports a deeper, more restorative night of sleep. Here's why that matters specifically for your eyes. The retina's overnight repair cycle is most active during deep sleep, exactly when your body's own melatonin production peaks. Cut sleep short or keep it shallow, and that repair window closes early. Over years, people who sleep poorly accumulate more retinal damage simply because the nightly repair process keeps getting interrupted before it finishes. Then there's the vitamin C itself. 2 kiwis provide more than 150% of your daily recommended intake. Vitamin C is present in high concentrations in the fluid filling the eye, where it plays a direct protective role for both the lens and the retina's blood vessels. It's one of the specific compounds included in the AREDS2 supplement formula for exactly this reason. Kiwi works on two fronts simultaneously: a longer repair window through deeper sleep, and direct antioxidant delivery to the eye's own defense system. Eat 1 to 2 kiwis roughly 45 minutes before bed. Leave the skin on if you don't mind the texture. A meaningful portion of the fiber and some of the antioxidant content sits just beneath it, though peeled kiwi still delivers the great majority of the benefit if the skin isn't for you. Either way, this is one of those rare cases where a fruit is doing genuinely different jobs depending on which part of it you're eating and when. Putting it into a simple evening routine. You don't need to overhaul your entire dinner routine to make this work. Think of it less as a meal plan and more as a 5-minute ritual. You attach to something you're already doing: brushing your teeth, taking your evening medications, turning off the television. Right before that, have your small portion of fruit ready in the kitchen: a handful of blueberries, a few tart cherries, or a kiwi sliced in half that you can eat with a spoon straight from the peel. Some people find it easier to rotate through the 3 rather than trying to eat all of them every single night. That's fine. The research behind each one stands on its own, and any one of these habits done consistently outperforms an ambitious plan you abandon after 2 weeks. If you want to combine them, a small fruit bowl with blueberries and a few tart cherries, or blueberries alongside half a kiwi, works well and takes barely any more effort than eating one alone. The healthy fat pairing is worth a specific mention, since it's easy to overlook. A few walnuts, a small spoon of plain Greek yogurt, or even a thin slice of cheese alongside your fruit meaningfully improves how much lutein and zeaxanthin your body actually absorbs from the meal compared to eating the fruit completely on its own. It doesn't need to be much. This is about giving your digestive system a small assist, not adding calories you don't want. If you're someone who tends to skip evening snacks altogether out of habit, or out of a general sense that eating before bed is unwise, it's worth reconsidering that instinct in this specific case. A small portion of fruit 30 to 60 minutes before sleep is a different category of eating than a late dessert or a heavy snack. The quantities involved are modest, and the goal isn't caloric. It's about timing a nutrient delivery to match your body's own repair schedule. 3 mistakes that undo all of this. First, skip the added sugar: sweetened yogurt, sugary juice, dessert toppings. All of it generates inflammation in the very blood vessels these antioxidants are working to protect. Eat the fruit plain, or pair it with a small amount of full-fat plain yogurt, which also happens to improve nutrient absorption. Second, don't treat this as occasional. The research behind all 3 fruits was built on consistent, regular intake over time, not sporadic bursts. A small amount every evening does far more than a large amount once in a while. Third, don't wait for symptoms before you start. Early-stage macular degeneration produces no noticeable symptoms at all. None. The damage accumulates silently, often for years, before anything shows up as blurred text or trouble driving at night. The window to protect your eyes is long before you'd ever notice a problem. There's a 4th mistake worth naming too, even though it wasn't part of the original 3. Assuming this replaces regular eye exams. It doesn't. Diet supports the retina's own repair systems. It doesn't substitute for a professional checking the actual structure of your eye. If you're over 60 and haven't had a dilated eye exam in the past year or two, that's a separate, equally important step alongside anything you change at the dinner table. Margaret's early diagnosis only happened because she was already in the habit of getting checked regularly. The fruit didn't find the problem. The exam did. What the fruit does is give her retina a better chance of holding steady from here, bringing it together. Your retina performs its most important repair work while you sleep, and that repair depends on specific nutrients being available when it happens. Blueberries protect retinal cells and the blood vessels feeding them from oxidative damage. Tart cherries deliver natural melatonin and anti-inflammatory compounds straight to the retina's circulation. Kiwi does double duty, deepening your sleep so the repair window stays open longer, while also delivering a large dose of vitamin C to the eye's own antioxidant system. Adding one of these fruits to your evening routine is a solid start. All three in small portions is even better. Your eyes work continuously every moment you're awake. The evening is the one real opportunity you have to give them what they need to keep doing that job well tomorrow and the day after that. None of this is about chasing a miracle fix or reversing damage that's already occurred. It's about giving a hard-working, easily overlooked part of your body the raw materials it's been quietly asking for the whole time. Margaret didn't get her sharpest vision back overnight, and nobody should promise you that either. What changed for her was simpler and, in its own way, more useful. A habit small enough to keep, done consistently enough to matter, starting the same evening she learned about it. If this was useful, a like and a subscribe helps this kind of information reach more people who could use it. And if you're curious about the single most common vitamin deficiency that speeds up vision loss after 60, that video is linked right here. I'll see you there.